Okay, if you're an educator, you know the deal. Unlocking the full potential of every single student, that's the whole game. So today, we're going to dive into a really powerful framework to help you do just that. It's called the 9 Dimensions of Scaffolding, and it's an amazing guide for empowering your multilingual learners.
All right, first things first, we got to get our mindset right. And the source material really nails this idea that the growing diversity in our classrooms, all the different cultures and languages, it's not some problem we need to solve. No way. It's a tremendous asset. It's a rich resource that honestly benefits everybody in the room.
So when you start seeing this diversity as an asset, it just opens up this huge opportunity, right? The goal shifts. It becomes about creating a real support system that empowers multilingual learners, we'll call them MLLs, to tackle both language and content at the same time. So how do we do that? What's the key strategy? Well, it's called scaffolding.
So what is scaffolding exactly? Well, think about it literally, like the scaffolding on a building. It's a support structure, right? It's intentional and it's temporary. And this is so important. It's not about lowering our expectations, not at all. It's about building a bridge from where a student is right now to where they need to be so they can access the exact same grade-level content as everyone else.
Okay, so you might be thinking, hang on, this just sounds like differentiation. And you're not wrong, but it's a little more specific than that. Think of it this way. Scaffolding is a really focused, really intentional type of differentiation. While general differentiation might give students a bunch of different paths, scaffolding builds one specific temporary bridge to a clear grade-level goal. And it does it while building both language and content skills at the very same time.
So, the big question is, how do we actually build these intentional supports? Well, this is where we get to the real heart of this whole thing. The source material gives us this brilliant, holistic framework. It's not just a random list of tips, It's 9 interconnected dimensions of support that, honestly, can be a total game changer in the classroom.
And here it is. This visual really lays out the whole system. You can see how all 9 of these dimensions work together with the learner right there in the middle. Now, I know it might look like a lot at first glance, but don't worry, we're going to break it all down.
To make this super easy to digest, we're going to look at them in 3 manageable groups of 3. So let's kick things off with what the authors call the core dimensions.
Okay, so these first 3, they're really the foundation. You've got instructional scaffolding, which is all about how you teach, like modeling the first math problem step by step. Then there's linguistic, which is about the language itself. Maybe you provide a word bank with key vocab, or even encourage students to chat about an idea in their home language first. And finally, multimodal. This one's all about how students can show you what they know. So maybe instead of just writing a report, they get to build a model of the solar system.
All right, so once we have that core foundation in place, the framework starts building on it by getting the senses involved. So let's jump into our next group, the sensory and digital dimensions. This is all about making learning feel more real, more tangible.
Yeah, this is where we take abstract stuff and make it concrete. So multisensory support, that means using sight, sound, touch. Think about having students actually act out a historical event. Then you've got graphic support, which is using things like visual organizers to map out complex ideas, like a flowchart for the water cycle. And of course, digital support, which is all about using technology. Everything from cool interactive simulations to just a simple shared Google Doc.
Okay, so we've covered the instructional and the sensory stuff. Now we get to our final group. And honestly, this one might be the most crucial of all, the relational dimensions. This is all about the human element, the stuff that turns a classroom from just a room into a real community.
First up, you've got social-emotional support. This is about creating that safe, secure vibe where every single student feels like they belong. It could be something as simple as a daily check-in circle. Then there's interactive support, which is all about sparking those good conversations, using things like structured turn-in talks. And last but not least, environmental support. This means making sure the physical space itself is welcoming and actually reflects the kids who are in it. Like making sure the books on the shelves have characters that look like them.
Okay, deep breath. That was a lot, I know. 9 different dimensions. And I can guess what you're probably thinking right about now.
Where do I even begin, right? It can feel totally overwhelming to think about doing all of this at once. But you know what? The source material has a really clear, really powerful answer to that very question.
The answer is 1. Just 1.
You do not have to do all 9 of these at once. Seriously, the goal is not perfection overnight. The goal is to just start with 1 step. Pick 1 new strategy, try it out, see how it goes, and then build from there. Those continuous, small steps, they create a huge impact over time. It's so true. So, with that awesome one-step idea in mind, let's wrap this up with a little toolkit you can use to get started.
All right, here are the 4 biggest things to remember. First, that asset-based mindset is everything. Second, remember that scaffolding is a planned, intentional bridge. Third, taking a holistic approach, thinking about all these different dimensions is always going to be more effective. And finally, and this is the most important one, for sure, start small.
And to help you pick your one step, here are some really great questions to get you thinking. Just look at these dimensions for a second. Which one kind of jumps out at you? For example, under multimodal, what if you offered a video option instead of just an essay? Or for environmental, what about adding some labels in students' home languages around the classroom? See? Small things.
And that brings us right to our final thought. This is not about mastering all 9 dimensions by tomorrow. It's just about taking that one single step. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Which new support strategy will you try this week?